Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Welcome to this week's, I know, delayed episode of Greaser Garage Dirty Daily Driver. Today, I wanted to show you guys my most recent purchase, 2002 Nissan Stagea that I imported from Japan with the help of a broker. Well, let's get into it. Actually, just kidding. It's a right-hand drive. Come around over this way and I'll show you what it is. So, in Japan, much like Great Britain, it's right-hand drive, which means they drive on the other side of the road. So it's a little bit of a learning curve when you're driving one of these in North America, but definitely a cool experience, different driving experience, and a lot of fun. Come in here and have a look. So as you can see what I mean there, normally what we would consider the passenger side is in fact the driver's side. And all of the controls are sort of mirror imaged, with the exception of the foot controls. Gas is still on your right, brake is still in the middle. This particular one is an automatic, not a standard, so we only have the two pedals. And yeah, let me bring you around the rest of the car and show you some of the other exterior features before we jump inside. Okay, so the Nissan Stagea is essentially a Infiniti G35, North American, that would be the equivalent. But this is a wagon with a two-piece hatch. Two-piece hatch means you can open the top and access your groceries or whatever you're going to put in there. Or you can open up the whole hatch and gives you full access to everything on the inside. Personally, it's got tons of storage room, which I really like. And it's fully enclosed, so it gives you the convenience of a car with the convenience of a truck and like none of the downside. So definitely the coolest of all worlds. Also, standard feature on most wagons that come from the Japanese market is it has a soft close hatch, which means you lower it down and it auto closes itself to full lock, which is fully sick. First up, Nissan supremacy. Ooh-ah! Let me show you under the hood here. So, as you can see, under the hood really is no different between the Japanese domestic market and the North American. A few little different things, but for the most part, everything is pretty much laid out the way it would be. Battery is really nicely enclosed, which is super sick. And everything is pretty much where it needs to be. This particular one is a VQ25DD, so it's a 2.5 liter V6 naturally aspirated. That means it's not supercharged or turboed, it's just natural air induction, which helps a little bit with the fuel mileage. It's not really a super performance car, only putting out 212 horse, but it's adequate for moving around the city and still not breaking the budget when you hit the gas station. One downside of the Japanese cars is most of them are high compression engines, meaning you got to use minimum 91 octane, which is a more expensive fuel, but this particular one gets about 10 liters per every 100k, so, or 28 miles per gallon for Americans, which isn't too bad for a V6 in a full-on wagon. Now, we'll close this up. I'll take you inside and show you some of the interior features that are pretty sweet. One really cool feature you'll find on most JDM cars, or import from Japan cars, are the mirror assemblies. Almost all of them have this folding mirror option because of the narrow parking spaces and availability. So this is a really nice feature to have when you're parking, even in North American parking lots, or getting into tight spaces, as you can fold your mirrors in on both sides automatically from the interior. Super handy. So, one misconception you get a lot about Japanese cars, and actually held me back from buying one, is that they're not really built for bigger people. Well, as you can see, I'm a pretty plus-sized guy, and I fit in here without issue. And I actually can move the seat back another 2 inches if I really wanted to. So this is definitely, if you're tall or big or both, it's not really a reason not to buy one of these. It's fully sick, and the room afforded to the passengers, especially in the front, is comparable, if not better, than most North American domestic. Yeah. One cool feature, that red thing there is in fact a emergency road flare, as it's standard practice to have one of those in the vehicles in Japan. Fully a cool thing that I actually had it with this car when it got brought over. So here's a closer look at this road flare, and it's got all the markings in Japanese, and is fully functional to my knowledge, so I won't set it off because, you know, rude times. But kind of a neat conversation piece to have with the car, that if you do import a car, you may actually get one of these with your vehicle. Fully cool. Okay, you can see the center console there in the middle of the dash is very much like the North American Infiniti G35, and it's essentially the same kind of console setup. If you pan down, you can actually see it's got a very similar controls and a similar radio bay. Just happens to be mirror imaged from what you'd see in the North American Infiniti. I come up over here to the steering controls. It's a little bit different here, but essentially it's got the same dash layout, with the exception that your light control and your signal switch is on your right hand side, and that your wiper control is on your left hand side, which is the mirror image from North America. The reasoning is, and it's easy to get your mind around it while you're driving, is if you think of the switch that's closest to your outside window is in fact your controls for your signaling. Once you get that figured, you're good to go. One thing I always hear, and I actually kind of put to my own brain when I was purchasing this car, is that your shoulder checking is going to be way off and you'll never be able to drive it. So let me show you here. If you shoulder check to the right, you actually got really good sight, and your mirror picks up a lot of that difference. And then if you shoulder check to the left, you actually have that whole window to look through and the back portion. So if you angle your car while you're making your turns, you've actually got a better sight window than you actually have on most North American cars, which is pretty handy. Well, without too much more, let's go for a cruise. Just before we take off, one more thing to consider is in these right-hand drive cars, the left hand actually controls the shifter. So it's automatic, so a lot less figuring than if you had a standard, but engages just like it would in North America, just you're doing it with your offhand instead of your right hand. So if you're a southpaw, I'd consider buying a Japanese car, as it's fully set up for your configuration. hey, you're still here. Well, thank you for tuning into this shorter episode. Just wanted to show off my new ride, and hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll try getting back doing some maintenance. I got to do the brakes on my red truck and a couple other jobs coming up here. But yeah, I figured just for today, show you my new baby and take you guys along for the ride. So thanks for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, leave some comments down below, and we'll see you all later. Okay, two little last things here is when we were cleaning up the car and going checking around and replacing the radio, found these two coins. This here is a 10 yen coin, and this one is a single yen coin. Super cool, and kind of just a neat little artifact of bringing a car from Japan. Hey, just wanted to do a shout out to all my fans at Headway School. Stay in school, stay smart, and keep at it, and one day you guys can own cars and have a sweet time too. Hooah!